Now, opinions are divided over calls for the Deputy Trade Minister, Carlos Kingsley Ahenkorah, to be prosecuted after he resigned for breaching COVID-19 protocols. As you may know, the Deputy Minister, who tested positive for COVID-19, has admitted he was recently at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for a review of his status. But many Ghanaians were angered when a video emerged showing the minister interacting closely with people at a registration center. Watch. While the minister, in an interview granted to host of Ekosi saying on Asempa FM, Philip Osei-Bonsu, justified his actions.
In your case, no, so Enra na no mo de wo ba Kolebu hono meboa.
Enra, yeah.
Okay, but I've seen pictures on social media say you were, monitoring registration exercise now some registration centers. Is that true?
That was that started the following day.
Yeah, that's Tuesday, right? And
yeah, started Tuesday.
Yeah, most started Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That's Enra.
Enra Wednesday.
Yeah, Enra was Wednesday.
And then Tuesday, no.
Okay.
And then Tuesday, I decided to just pass through and see how some of the centers were operating.
But at the time, no, you knew your test results. So what tested positive?
Oh yes, of course. But it didn't mean that I couldn't go out because by that time my test result was last week. So, and after 1 week or so, no, according to my health directors, I could step out. So be careful with my nose mask and social distancing and not touch anybody and so on.
And are you very certain, say, in the process no one touch you be I am very, very certain about that one. Very certain. So what pictures look like on social media and you would see even in speaking, my hands were folded in front of me. I was standing waving, I was wearing my nose mask. I was standing way away from the people that I was talking to and so on. Okay, so wouldn't you consider the decision to step out, as being reckless, knowing how contagious Yariwe ete?
I wouldn't say that because we say we are not in normal situation, and we are not in normal times now. We only have to manage ourselves in a way and think and so forth. So, but I don't see in another way. Because of the conditions, I won't step out, and I say I won't give people that kind of appearance. We have one that now empty one. If you understand, Enra,
FM.
Say don't stay by here. Come home hospital me. The difference of the time was no problem spreading more than me for outside him. But I can assure you that I'm a very careful person, and I was very, very mature about it.
I've seen other videos, and so when your victory was declared by the Electoral Commission at more primaries, hugging some of your supporters and all of that. At the time, now status to saying.
Some of the videos you see there are 2018 videos. And for instance, that day the video.
But on the day of the primaries, you had tested positive.
On the day of the primaries, not there be not
Asempa FM.
No results, no my.
No results.
But no, my first samples, no.
The first samples in the following day, which is Monday.
Oh, which is Monday.
Yes.
And would you advise probably the people who were around you at the time, might be, your contact? Was it Tracy one?
Oh, there are for information. In fact, I'm the whole couple that started 3 years because some of them started complaining even before the election.
FM.
In Mimic Municipal Health Directorate, I'm catching on the main only be complaining about some bodily pain and environment. Almost 35 300
Wow. That means really that primaries might have led to the spread. Maybe if not just your constituency, other constituencies and so.
That would be very speculative because primaries, maybe be Ghana, and they could still happen on some of the constituencies near ABSC or ABSC or baby, and then have to be into me MPC now.
Yeah.
And see, when we generalize like that, I will be making a mistake.
Well, public pressure mounted on him from all quarters, civil society organizations and the Ghana Medical Association asking that he resigns or gets fired. There was social media storm with many demanding he be fired and prosecuted. Here are a few of the tweets from Twitter users. Now, one says, Carlos Ahenkorah resigning is never enough. He should be sanctioned as well. He is using the resignation as a cover-up. Open your eyes and stop praising him for resigning. Such dishonorable act. The sort of leaders we have in this country. Sigh. Hashtag Carlos must resign. Also, Frederick Brook at Poet Brooks writes, it shouldn't end at just resignation. Carlos Ahenkorah must be prosecuted duly. The resignation is an appeasement to his office. Now let's get to court. Some pastors have been prosecuted already in breaching these protocols. Carlos is indifferent. Hashtag Carlos must resign. Hashtag fire Carlos. Pakwesi at Wala Sikai says, the way Ghanaians put politics aside and spoke with a united front against Carlos Ahenkorah's careless behavior, if we start doing that to our political leaders and demand accountability and the best with a united front, I think we shall see change. Now, well, shortly afterwards, it emerged the deputy minister had tendered in his resignation to the president. The presidency earlier in the day issued a statement indicating that the president has accepted his resignation. And it reads, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on Friday, 3rd July 2020, accepted the resignation from office of the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Carlos Kingsley Ahenkorah, MP, which takes immediate effect. This follows the admission by the Deputy Minister of his breach of the COVID-19 protocols. In accepting the resignation, the president recognizes that the Honorable Carlos Ahenkorah has acted honorably in the circumstances by resigning his office and wishes him well. But pressure group Occupy Ghana, however, says the resignation is not enough. The group wants the former deputy minister arrested and prosecuted. Jejom Segbefia is a member of the group.
So there's a lot of actions on his part that is a blatant disregard for the law. So whilst we applaud his resignation, we think that we need to go further by prosecuting him. After all, recently, we were all having a conversation concerning whether a person in his own car alone should wear a mask or not. And we were made to understand that that person could go to jail for 10 years. Who was the law made for? The person living in Asante Atemagogo or the MP is exempt from the law? So we think we need to go do one further, send a message to people that we don't want to hang around with COVID-19. What we are saying is that what he does breaks laws. And that if this is a party that believes in the rule of law, and you have a person who has on 3 occasions disregarded that law, cast his teeth, his despite into the teeth of a president that for 13 times has been trying to assure Ghanaians that he's on top of this issue of the pandemic, then you can't allow him to stand. So we are inviting the New Patriotic Party to consider that withdraw his candidature and perhaps replace him. Because a person who does this, knowing full well that he's biologically at risk, and still does that, goes into the constituency in a place where there's a lot of people, clearly has no regard for the law that he says he will be representing when he goes into parliament. So I beg to differ with the good professor.
Well, not everyone agrees. Political scientist at the KNUST, Dr. Amache Boateng, says these calls are absurd.
The first president of the land, Nkrumah, was in prison when people voted for him. And then the governor of the day, released him, and from the prison he came to, lead the country. The action of getting someone to represent a constituency is taken by the constituents. And the moment you have a popularly elected person, it becomes very difficult for any other, group of people who are not part of the constituency to be able to take action. So the people who are making the call, who are they referring to and why? Are they in a way suggesting that the whole constituency go into some sort of a referendum or something to take such a decision? Who is to take that decision? So politically, it sounds a little absurd, actually, because the decision, the decision makers themselves are not complaining. So you and I sitting outside here cannot really, cry for them. So I think that particular call is a little absurd, actually. It should come from the delegates in the constituency. And if the delegates collectively are to take a decision, then we are suggesting we go into some sort of a referendum there, some sort of such an arrangement to let them express their position on the issue. Maybe that is what the call is for. In the absence of that, I really don't get it.
Well, Eugene Ahen, who is Director of Communications at the Presidency, says a decision is yet to be taken as to whether the former Deputy Minister should be prosecuted.
For the President, the most important thing is the fact that the Deputy Minister has recognized the fact that, as I said, what transpired was not the best. And as a result of that, instead of waiting for him to be fired, he has come on his own to tender in his resignation. And the President believes what he has done, at least he's acted honorably in the circumstances. And as a result of that, has accepted his resignation from office.
Is it true that the President offered him the option of resigning or being fired?
The President simply accepted his resignation. I don't think, I don't know where you're getting this thing from as to whether the President gave him two options. To the best of my knowledge, the letter came in early this morning. The President took delivery of the letter, and the President duly accepted his resignation from office.
Is the President going to call for the prosecution of Mr. Ahenkorah for committing this crime?
Well, I'll say when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it.
Are we not there? Are we not at the bridge?
Well, but at this point, I don't have any information to that end. So that's what I'm saying. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it.
And we'll be speaking to Dr. Michael Owusu of KCCR, that's the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, for more on this. But in Parliament today, the NDC MP for Central Tongu, Alexander Roosevelt Otoje, has also added his voice to calls for the immediate prosecution of his colleague and Member of Parliament for Tema West, Carlos Ahenkorah, for breaching the COVID-19 protocols. According to him, the resignation by the Deputy Minister is not enough, adding that the law should take its course.
Let me point it out here that it was very disastrous on his part. This is a disease that they've been using billions of cedis to cure. And you know that if you contract the disease and you get closer to others, they also contract it. Why did you go? It means he wanted Ghana to spend so much, or he wanted Ghanaians to be wiped out. That is the reason, and it is too bad. It's not right. Having known a member of parliament, a minister of state, having known that I have contracted a disease, I'm positive, and I've decided to go and mingle with people, it was below the belt.
He has resigned. That should be enough, isn't it?
That alone is even not. If there should be anything beyond resignation, he should do it. Because it's not the right thing to do. If there should be anything beyond resignation, he should be seen to be done.
Like what?
Oh,
support the call for prosecution or arrest the prosecution?
That is okay, because if you infect one person, it has a multiplier effect. And that is disastrous to not only to the economy of Ghana, but to the social life of Ghanaians. You understand? So if you should be seen infecting one person now, as we speak, it could be about 1,000 people we infected. So they should go ahead and prosecute him. Resigning alone is not enough. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Minister of Communications Ursula Owusu-Ekuful described Carlos Ahenkorah's conduct as unfortunate. However, she disagrees with calls for his prosecution. Madam Owusu-Ekuful argued that it will be difficult to establish that the MP spread the virus during his tour of the constituency. She asked those demanding for his prosecution to rather appreciate and commend him for his gesture.
It is imperative that you self-isolate. And if you don't do that, then it means you may unwittingly be spreading the virus. Yes, you will take all the necessary precautions, but you never know what may happen. So I think it is most unfortunate that in the heat of the moment, Carlos felt compelled to go out there and monitor the registration process. He says he took all the necessary precautions, but it was incumbent on him to have been in isolation while he was still actively fighting the virus. So my heart really goes out to him. He's excellent material in the ministry. He will be missed, but we must respect him and applaud him for doing the honorable thing once he realized that, no, we are part of a government that is preaching in this country to have people acknowledging that what they did was wrong, and so they would lay their position down, they would resign to take responsibility for it. Others would have been defending the indefensible, and I don't think that is the right way.
Some have asked for him to be prosecuted. To be specific, let's talk about the General Secretary of the NDC. He's just addressed the media and he's calling for Carlos Ahenkorah's prosecution.
Prosecution for what?
For spreading COVID-19 unknowingly, albeit.
Unless you can show that a particular individual contracted the virus by coming into contact with him because he went out on the monitoring, it will be difficult to establish a case for spreading COVID-19 unwillingly. So let's not rush to tread into areas where we may, it's easy to say, but would you have the evidence to prosecute? That's another thing at all. I think that if it is punishment we want, he has laid down his position as deputy minister to take responsibility for it. You don't beat a dead horse. What else would you be achieving by his prosecution? I think if he had insisted that he hadn't done anything wrong, and so he was still going to defend his actions, then the call for further sanctions to be applied would be in order. He has admitted that what he did was not proper, and he has resigned to take responsibility for it. I think we can use that as a lesson for all of us, that sometimes you may, in the heat of the moment, do things that you regret. But once they pointed out to you that what you did was wrong, the noble thing to do is to take responsibility for it and then go further and say that in my position as minister, I flouted the rules. It is this government which is seeking to enforce the protocol, so his position is untenable.